century which we had completed as far as the political, economical, religious, and this all these reforms are concerned. The 14th century we had finished the monarchies, uh, Edward III, then Richard II, and now today we are going to start with the 15th century and considering the political background of the 15th century monarchies. I always tell you students that whenever you study history of English literature, always remember to understand little bit about the monarchies so that you can mingle them with the chronological dates and what are the events which they did for the poets, for the dramatists of that particular age, making the age a golden age, making the age a age which is not working. जैसा कि हम लोग 15th century अब पढ़ने जा रहे हैं, तो 15th century was an age which actually did not support literature. What were the reasons? What were the things? We will discuss it afterwards. So now I'm going to start with the Henry IV. Henry IV was a king who came after Richard II. That is Richard II को जब उसने पकड़ा और उसको कैप्टिविटी में बंद किया, he was murdered, he was starved, and finally he usurped the throne as King Henry IV, which we yesterday discussed in the last lecture. And King Henry IV was a king of England as well as the Lord of Ireland. And he also took this grandfather's title, that is the King of France. ये King of France title किसके पास थी? Edward III के पास, which he also asserted. And he was born at Bolingbroke Castle. इसीलिए उसका नाम बाद में पड़ा that he is Henry of Bolingbroke. He became Henry of Bolingbroke from 1399 to 1413. And his main problem was the deposed Richard, because he died in prison of starvation and his body was put for public display to prove his supports that he did not he was truly dead. मतलब उसको सामने ला करके रख दिया बॉडी को कॉफिन में कि देखिए वो मर गया है, and now I am the king. And his body got you can say buried in the Supporters Church at King's Langley. जगह का नाम था King's Langley, which is in Hertfordshire, where he remained until King Henry V brought his body back to London and buried him in the tomb that Richard had commissioned to himself in Westminster Abbey. So this is something which is very important for you students to know, that कौन सा राजा था वो जिसने उसको उसकी बॉडी को जमीन से निकलवा करके जहां पे रिचर्ड ये क्या नाम है इसका हेनरी ये रिचर्ड II को जहां पे उसने गाड़ा था, बरी किया था, दैट इज वॉज किंग्स लैंगले हर्फोर्डशायर. लेकिन जब हेनरी V आया एज किंग, then he took out his body and brought back to London, जहां की रिचर्ड ने खुद अपने को कमीशन किया था कि हम जब मर जाएंगे, when I will die, I should go buried into the Westminster Abbey. So this was done by Henry V, that is son of Henry IV. And Henry's reign in the latter years were marked by the serious health problems, and he died in Jerusalem, that is the chamber at the house of Abbot of Westminster, in March 1413 during the convocation of Parliament. Now, there are few titles you must know, and those titles which are conferred upon Henry V. First title, Henry of Bolingbroke. The second title, Earl of Northampton. Third title, he was also the second Duke of Lancaster. And how he became the second Duke of Lancaster? Because when his father died, automatically he became the second Duke, because his father was the first Duke of Lancaster. And finally, the King of England, Henry IV. How? By the disposition of his cousin, King Richard II. Now, we come to Henry V in continuation. Henry V कौन था? Henry V उसका बेटा था. He was a King of England from 1413 to 1422. And he rapidly assumed control of his country after the father's death and embarked on war with France. तुरंत फ्रांस से लड़ने चला गया. एक सिस्टम था उस समय इंग्लैंड में कि जो भी राजा इंग्लैंड का होता था, दे यूज्ड टू कंसीडर फ्रांस एज देयर ओन प्रॉपर्टी। तो ज्यादातर केसेस में आपने देखा होगा कि दे गॉट विक्ट्री, इन फ्यू केसेस दे कुड नॉट। एंड दिस हेनरी फाइव won the most famous victory at the Battle of Agincourt। मैं यहां लिख देता हूं, बैटल ऑफ एगिनकोर्ट। ये क्वेश्चन एक बार आ चुका है नेट में कि हु वन द बैटल ऑफ एगिनकोर्ट। बैटल ऑफ एगिनकोर्ट। So who won the battle of Agincourt? Henry V. Students, I'm sure now you are live with me. So just come to the message box. I'm sure you must all be live by this time. Yes, come fast. So he won the battle of Agincourt, and subsequently what happened that Charles VI of France had to marry his daughter Catherine of Valois with Henry V। क्यों? क्योंकि इसने फ्रांस को जीत लिया था। And after his sudden and unexpected demise in France, his 9-month-old son was betrothed as King Henry VI। हेनरी V का 9 महीने का बेटा को राजा बनाना पड़ा क्योंकि उसके फादर मींस हेनरी V की अनटाइमली डेथ हो गई। एंड बिकॉज हेनरी V was born in Monmouth Castle, इसलिए उसको हम लोग हेनरी ऑफ मॉनमाउथ भी कहते हैं। Who was the son of हेनरी ऑफ बॉलिंगब्रुक? मींस कि हेनरी जो 5 था वो किसका बेटा था? मींस कि हेनरी ऑफ मॉनमाउथ हेनरी ऑफ बॉलिंगब्रुक का बेटा था। हेनरी ऑफ बॉलिंगब्रुक किसका बेटा था? जॉन ऑफ गॉन्ट का। और जॉन ऑफ गॉन्ट किसका बेटा था? एडवर्ड III का। दिस मीन्स दैट हेनरी V वॉज द ग्रेट ग्रैंड सन ऑफ एडवर्ड III। इस तरीके से क्रोनोलॉजिकल आप याद कर सकते हैं। मैं थोड़ा सा उसको एक्सप्लेन यहां पे कर देता हूं, बिकॉज दीज थिंग्स एक्चुअली मैटर when you are speaking something or solving questions in front of the interview board if it happens. See, Edward III, then John of Gaunt, then Henry IV, then Henry V। हाँ, now again listen, Henry V कौन था? हेनरी ऑफ मॉनमाउथ। हेनरी ऑफ मॉनमाउथ के बाद ये कौन था? हेनरी ऑफ बॉलिंगब्रुक, देन जॉन गॉन्ट एंड देन एडवर्ड III। सो हु इज ही? ही इज द ग्रेट ग्रैंड सन ऑफ एडवर्ड III, करेक्ट? नाउ वी विल कंटिन्यू विद हेनरी VI। हेनरी VI was king of England from in 2 parts। फर्स्ट पार्ट उसका जो रूल था that was 1422, ये आप नोट कर सकते हैं, 1422 टू 1461। एक उसका ये राज्य था। दूसरा था 1470 टू 1471। यहां पे there was a less time frame and here it was too much, so he came in two parts। And because he was underaged, he was too young to rule, so his country was governed by his regents for 12 years। And when finally in 1437 the whole atmosphere became peaceful and pious, and because of Henry VI insanity for a period of time, his wife Margaret of Anjou कुछ समय जो हेनरी VI जो था, he suffered something regarding insanity, so उस period में his wife Margaret of Anjou had to control the kingdom। Yes, one thing more you should know, that this marriage with Margaret of Anjou and Henry VI was actually a very ill-suited match, and the king was a mild-tempered man, and he was fond of study, he was fond of peace, and Margaret was totally in contradiction with her husband. और शेक्सपियर ने कहीं पे मार्गरेट ऑफ एंजू को एक एडजेक्टिव से कहा है, दैट इज द शी वुल्फ ऑफ फ्रांस. शी वुल्फ ऑफ France. So I still remember that there was a question somewhere that who is considered to be the she-wolf of France? Yeah, who has given this term or word? So शेक्सपियर ने कहा है, किसके लिए कहा है? मार्गरेट ऑफ एंजू के लिए कहा है. और क्यों कहा है वो मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया. So now you can understand that how the history is important for every student. And she was actually a lady who was very violent and of very wicked nature, wretched nature. अपनी शादी के 2 साल बाद she threw the Duke of Gloucester. उसको उठा करके क्या किया, उसको बंद कर दिया प्रिजन में, जहां पे उसने पीछे से मर्डर भी करा दिया. एंड उसका जो उत्तराधिकारी था, द हेयर टू द थ्रोन, बिकॉज ग्लाउचेस्टर का नंबर आ जाता है इसलिए उसका मर्डर करा दिया. एंड द हेयर टू द थ्रोन नाउ वाज द ड्यूक ऑफ योर्क. बट व्हाट हैपेंड कि 1453 में 1453 में द बर्थ ऑफ प्रिंस ऑफ वेल्स चूंकि पैदा हो गए, तो बिकॉज ऑफ द बर्थ ऑफ प्रिंस ऑफ वेल्स, दिस बर्थ डिप्राइव द यॉर्क ऑफ बिकमिंग द किंग, बिकॉज उस लाइन में उसकी ज्यादा अहमियत थी. ही वॉज सपोज टू बी द किंग नाउ. सो मार्गरेट ने क्या किया, शी प्लान्ड टू अरेस्ट यॉर्क एंड हिज पार्टी, and the duke prepared to resist. And this is Duke of York. बहुत ध्यान से समझिएगा students. So what happened, this was actually the beginning of the War of the Roses. This is a very important question that students sometimes fail to know or explain what was the reason of the Wars of the Roses. So this was the reason of the Wars of the Roses. The red rose being the symbol of the Lancastrians. The red rose being the symbol of the Lancastrians, and the white rose the symbol of the Yorkists. And complete name, War of the Roses. And because of the insanity of Henry VI and the mental breakdown, he was actually unaware of whatever is happening in the country, and he could even not respond when his son took birth, and his name was Edward. So this is a small story which you should know, and which is a story, or you can say a history, which is to be known by a student. Now we will come to Edward IV. Edward IV, who was born 1442 and he reigned up to 1483. He was a king who basically ruled in this period, and he was the first Yorkist king of England. Yorkist, Yorkist. And his rule was marred by the violence associated by the War of the Roses, which I just discussed with you. And he was the tallest among the Scottish people and the English monarch. मतलब जितने भी monarchs आज तक हुए हैं, he was one of the tallest, approximately 6.4 inches. And Edward IV was forced to exile. So this you should remember. Now we will continue with the next, that is Edward IV, and then we will finally come to the history part. So these are the basics, not very important to mug it up, but the chronology is very important. Next is Edward IV. Edward IV. Now, who is Edward IV? That is, I just told you the second term, that is 1471 to 1483. क्या हुआ था कि 1457 में एडवर्ड ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया वॉर ऑन फ्रांस, एंड विच प्रोवाइडेड हिम इमीडिएट पेमेंट ऑफ 75,000 crowns and an yearly pension of 50,000 crowns. And his health began to fail due to many diseases and ailments. and finally, fatally ill, he became in 1483. And his brother Richard, that is the Duke of Gloucester, as protector, he became the protector of the country after the death of Edward IV. And now what will happen? He will be succeeded by his 12-year son, that is Edward V of England. इसके बाद आपका आ जाता है Edward V of England. Edward V automatically became the king after the death of his father in 1483, and after that Richard III, जो कि इसके अंकल थे, और वो कौन थे? Duke of Gloucester, took over as the Lord Protector of England till he was defeated by Henry VII in the Battle of Bosworth. Listen it properly students, क्योंकि अब हम जो आगे बताने जा रहे हैं that is even more important. यहाँ पे क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे अब हेनरी 7 की एंट्री हो गई है. And who is Henry VII? Who is Henry VII? The founder of the Tudor dynasty. So the War of the Roses, which is taken into the bracket of 1455 to 1485, War of the Roses. This War of the Roses actually created a lot of disorder, and भाई लड़ाई होगी तो disorder होगा ही, and so there was nobody to take care of law and justice and order, और justice भी नहीं हो पाया. So what happened in the 15th century, that is in this age, the relation of the landlord to the tenant was gradually modernized, and later on the tenants also became judges. So in short, we can say the 15th century was a good time for the peasant, labor, and a bad time for the landlord. जो मालिक थे उनके लिए खराब समय था, और जो peasant और laborers थे उनके लिए अच्छा समय था. And in the 15th century, one thing came to be known for you also, that is the Paston letters. What is this Paston letter? It is a series of hundreds and thousands of letters and papers, which are thousands in number, which belongs to one royal family that is known as the Norfolk family, Norfolk. And these thousands of letters give us a lot of details about the economic, social, political, religious conditions of that time, how people used to live, how they used to talk, what they used to wear, and what used to communicate. And this was a good treasure house of the domestic and the historical information about the century, and gives us a detailed picture of a generation to generation family, unke friends, unke enemies, unke noble patrons. And these letters also reveal a lot of family life, their love, their intrigues, their marriages. And in the 15th century, marriage had nothing to do with love like that which we saw in Chaucer. Basically, it was used by the parents to buy money and estates from the big houses, and if the girl resisted, suppose, they were also physically beaten. Love, which is a very pious thing, love which is something platonic, love which is something nearer to God, was not the normal basis of marriage. Marriage का वो basis नहीं था. Though sometimes if it often grew out of marriage and led to marriage sometimes. Natural है, हो भी हो सकता है. यहां तक कि churches जो हैं वो भी हमें help नहीं करते थे. Why? क्योंकि father जो होते थे, they regarded the woman as a snare of Satan. जो fathers होते थे अपनी बेटियों के लिए क्या कहते थे? They were not very, you can say, helpful, and they considered women as a snare of Satan. So this was the condition. Correct. So there were many examples of lovers who were marrying and having a life which was happy. Now there was a poet and a king. He was a king also, he was a poet also, James I, who made his love to the queen, And because he wanted to reciprocate himself, his love, through pen and paper, he wrote a beautiful poem, The King's Square. The King's Square. He wrote this work in 1424. किसके ऑनर में? अपनी बिलवेड के ऑनर में, जो बाद में उसकी वाइफ बनी. And there were two love marriages in the Paston family. Two love marriages. एक 1477 में Mary Bruce won over her mother to her marriage with Paston, who did not worry for dowry, but his father was dead and he was free to marry. तो पहला ये केस था. दूसरा केस था जिसमें मार्गरी पास्टन loved the bailiff of the Paston estate. रिचर्ड कैले उसका नाम था. शुरुआत में तो फैमिली ने रेजिस्ट किया, फॉर कैले वाज अ सर्वेंट ऑफ द हाउस, बट व्हेन द गर्ल परसिस्टेड अ लॉट, द फैमिली एट लास्ट अग्रीड. So the 15th century was a period of the development of education, as many schools came into the existing period. बिशप्स जो थे और जो मर्चेंट क्लास थे, उन्होंने बहुत सारे स्कूल्स को फॉर्म किया, एंड एजुकेशन इमर्ज्ड, एंड स्टूडेंट्स केम टू रीड इन द ग्रामर स्कूल, एंड दैट बिलोंग टू द लोअर मिडिल क्लास. सो व्हाट हैपेंड? द 15th century में क्या हुआ कि नंबर ऑफ स्कॉलर्स दे इंक्रीज डे बाय डे, एंड देयर वाज अ ग्रेट डिमांड ऑफ बुक्स which was fulfilled none other by the printing presses. And who invented this printing press? William Caxton, a great name and a successful merchant of London, that is the company, who lived in the Low Countries for 30 years and made enough money to devote his time to the literary pursuits. And he studied printing at Bruges and Cologne. These are the places जहां पे उसने प्रिंटिंग को सीखा and printing start किया. 1477 में he brought his press to England. फिर वो प्रेस को वापस इंग्लैंड में ले आया और उसको कहां सेट किया? वेस्टमिनिस्टर में. और अगले 14 साल तक he printed hundreds of books which came into the market, through which people grew and they had a lot of knowledge, क्योंकि जो दरवाजे, जो विंडोज, सब कुछ बंद थे, that actually came out. Now the more you read, the more you become knowledgeable. And among these printing books which William Caxton printed from his press were those of Chaucer, were those of Gower, Lydgate, Thomas Malory की Morte d'Arthur, Aesop fables, and besides these he himself translated about 20 or more books. And the first book to be printed in England was Recoil to the Histories of Troy, which was published in 1473. Many times you will find this question in the net papers. The first book to be printed, that is the Recoil of the Histories of Troy in 1473. And this work, which was his own translation. And 15th century, you must be knowing about this thing, that it was very poor in the poetic activity, because there was no proper poets who could come out like Chaucer or even like this Gower or even Langland. And the most important prose work of this age is Sir Thomas Malory's Morte d'Arthur. Morte d'Arthur जो इसका प्रोज वर्क था थॉमस मैलरी का. स्टूडेंट्स हियर नोटेड डाउन दैट Morte d'Arthur को you will read in detail. उसमें एस्ट्रिक्स लगा लीजिए. Whose 21 books contain the legends of King Arthur and written in a style of fairy tale. And these books means this Morte d'Arthur ने किसको इंस्पायर किया? मतलब इसको पढ़ करके who got inspiration? Who got inspiration? Will anybody answer? Who is a great name in the world? Who are great names in the world? If I better speak like this, that Morte d'Arthur ऐसा वर्क था, ऐसा you can say a work which gave so many people and so many poems and so many things came out from the pen of Shakespeare, Spencer, and Tennyson, which is a great storehouse of the romantic stories. Now, because we are talking about the 15th century, we cannot ignore the coming of the ballads. Ballads का यही time था. And what were the ballads name? While I am writing here on the board, can anybody tell me the two famous ballads through messages by the time I am writing here? Yes, somebody? Two famous ballads, the Nut Brown Maid, the ballads of the Chevy Chase. And these ballads are of two different types. One is of the emotional situation and sometimes tragic in short stanzas, but a refrain. Who can tell me what is a refrain? चूंकि यहां शब्द हमने बोला तो मुझे लगा कि आपसे पूछ भी लें कि क्या आपको पता है कि रिफ्रेन क्या होता है? There are so many great poets who have the writing skill that they finally end their paragraph with a refrain. So what is a refrain? Can anybody tell me through their message box? And so I was into the Nut Brown Maid, Ballad of the Chevy Chase. These ballads, one present an emotional situation, often tragic, in short stanzas, ending with a refrain, and the other, as we have the Robin Hood ballads. एक Robin Hood ballads भी था, जो कि 4 लाइन के stanzas का होता था, 4 लाइन. Robin Hood ballads, Robin Hood ballads. इनमें जो लाइंस होती थी 1, 2, 3, 4, इन 4 को कहते हैं quatrains. And which are rhyming? This, the second and the fourth are rhyming. The second and the fourth, they rhyme. So who will tell me? Refrain means stopped or no, Shreya, no. That is a different thing. ये आपने डिक्शनरी मीनिंग बताया है रिफ्रेन की. I refrain myself from doing this work. I refrain from anything which is not good. उसमें एक और वर्ड भी होता है, एक और अच्छा वर्ड होता है जिसको कहते हैं abstain, ABSTIAN. I abstain myself from drinking, something like that. So refrain यहाँ वो नहीं है. यहाँ पे refrain का मतलब होता है कि जब लास्ट में, जैसे स्पेंसर में आप रिफ्रेन पाएंगे, उसकी एक पोएम है ना, जो क्या नाम है उसका, एपिथेलियन. So all the stanzas, they end with a refrain. That is, the last 2 lines are coordinating. That is, they are rhyming. And why this is, जैसे हम इंग्लिश या हिंदी गीत होता है, हम लोग जो गाना गाते हैं पिक्चर्स के, बॉलीवुड के, तो देखिए वो अंतरा होता है, उसमें बार बार उसी में आकर के वही लाइंस रिपीट होती है ना. That basically gives the musicality to the entire system. तो उसको कहते हैं रिफ्रेन. यही लाइन बार बार, जैसे मान लीजिए ये पैसेज है, सपोज करिए, और ये इसकी 2 लाइन है, तो एक फिर नेक्स्ट पैसेज होगा, फिर इसकी ये 2 लाइन और ये 2 लाइन सेम होगी. So इसको कहते हैं रिफ्रेन, which gives a musical effect to the poem. Understood? Kusum and Shreya, Vandana, Samiksha, all of you understood? More students who are watching my live video, please come on the chat box so that you may be also be interactive with me. Okay, so now to continue with this, Chevy Chase जो है, that actually deals with the rivalry of the families of Percy and Douglas. Percy and Douglas. इन दोनों की राइवलरीज को आगे ले आता है चेवी चेज बैलेट्स. And why? Because this was something of a quarrel in these families between England and Scotland. And the Nut Brown Maid shows the love and faithfulness of a maiden, a girl who accepts a life of agony, a life of pain and peril for her lover, who in the end turns out to be an earl's son. बाद में पता चलता है कि अरे वो तो किसका बेटा है. So शुरुआत में she is full of pain and agony. So these ballads which are written in the 15th century are actually beautiful, artistic and reflect the heroic temper of the age. Now forms, जैसे हमने 14th सेंचुरी में आपको बताया था कि किस तरह के पोइट्री थी, क्या उसकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स थे, पोएम्स की क्या क्या फॉर्म्स थे. सो आई स्टिल रिमेंबर व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड माय फर्स्ट लेक्चर, आई स्टार्टेड विद द ड्रामा, बट आफ्टर 2 days आई फाउंड दैट इज एक्चुअली नॉट, शुड बी नॉट in the regular form, and I hope and I feel that you have understood and accepted that now what sir is teaching is chronological, and this should be the तरीका of understanding literature. Otherwise ड्रामा, पोइट्री, फिक्शन, नॉन फिक्शन से पढ़ करके हम क्रोनोलॉजी यहां पे बना ही नहीं सकते, इम्पॉसिबल है. एंड देयर विल बी मेनी थिंग्स विच विल बी लेफ्ट बिहाइंड. So again I'll repeat here the same thing which I taught in my drama class, because here it is in continuation with it, and that is known as the miracle plays. So these things, students, are something which was a part in your BA days, MA days. Feel that whenever you have went to your degree college, university, have you ever got classes where you could get such type of concept of history of English literature? This is actually required by teachers to make your building, or you can say the plot, correct, so that you can build your career. Otherwise the reason is why students are unable to qualify the competitive जो माहौल है हमारे यहाँ, इतना हाई कंपटीशन है. सो द मिरेकल प्लेस हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे, और उसको ध्यान से सुनिएगा कि जो इंग्लिश ड्रामा मैंने उस दिन में बताया था आपको, उसका जो ओरिजिन है कहाँ है, उसका ओरिजिन रिलीजन में है, उसका ओरिजिन चर्चेज में है. एंड द अर्ली प्लेस वेर ऑफ 2 types. जो अर्ली प्लेस थे उस 2 प्रकार के थे. पहला था मिस्ट्री प्लेस, जिसमें सब्जेक्ट्स लिए जाते थे कहां से, बाइबल से. द सब्जेक्ट्स वर टेकन फ्रॉम द बाइबल, एंड द मिरेकल्स and the subjects were taken from the life of saints, So English drama, which had its origin in the religion, in the churches, and the plays were of 2 types: the mysteries, where the subject was taken from the Bible, and the miracles, where the subject was taken from the life of the saints. हम saints की life को ही लेते थे. So हम अब ये पढ़ाने की कोशिश आपको कर रहे हैं कि चर्चेज में क्या पोजीशन थी और किस प्रकार से ड्रामा बाहर आया. शुरुआत में क्या हुआ कि जो चर्चेज थे, जो ड्रामा था बेसिकली, वो किसके कंट्रोल में था? द एंटायर ड्रामा सिस्टम वाज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द चर्च, कंप्लीट कंट्रोल था. एंड व्हाई? प्रोड्यूस, इनएक्टेड, डायरेक्टर, सिनेमेटोग्राफी, कोरियोग्राफी, जैसे आज हम लोग वर्ड्स लेते हैं नाम, जब कोई थिएटर में एक पिक्चर आती है तो ये सब नाम, म्यूजिक एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स, फैशनोग्राफी, फोटोग्राफी, ड्रेस अपीयरेंस, ऑल दीज थिंग्स, देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स. लेकिन उस जमाने में इतनी चीजें तो नहीं थी, लेकिन जो कुछ भी था, इट वाज ऑल डन एंड इनएक्टेड and produced and acted all by the clergy, by the monasteries, by the people of the church and within the church, and the language was Latin, because church की जो language थी वो Latin थी. वो मैंने आपको पहले दिन भी बताया था. धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ, its popularity increased and a large number of people start coming to the churches. पहले 10 आए, फिर 20 आए, जब लोग पॉपुलर हुए तो 100 आ गए, 500 आ गए, 1000 आ गए. परेशान हो गए चर्च वाले. कि अब क्या करें, इसको संभाले कैसे, क्योंकि कैंपस का तो एक एरिया डिफाइंड है ना. सो द लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पीपल स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू द चर्च, एंड द प्लेस ऑफ द परफॉर्मेंस, जहां कि हम एक 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 अच्छे से हॉल में, जहां हम चर्च में जाते हैं नेचुरली, वहां पे होता था और स्टेज बना होता था. जब लोग बढ़ गए तो उस चैम्बर से हट करके बाहर आना पड़ा. चर्चेस में आप पता ही है कि कितनी बड़ी बड़ी फील्ड्स होती हैं, कितनी जमीनें होती हैं, तो वहां पे उनको करना पड़ा, पोर्च में करना पड़ा, कोर्टयार्ड में करना पड़ा. और अल्टीमेटली उसके बाद भी नहीं जब रुका, then ultimately these church people had to shift it to some village field. Village field means कोई गांव के जमीन उनको लेने करके देनी पड़ी. But now what happened? The church people could not control this. कि वो अपना चर्च संभालें कि गांव की जमीन पे जाकर के एक्ट करें, उनके हाथ के बाहर हो गया. So now the drama which was under the control of these good people, religious people, पढ़ा लिखा people, it came into the hands of the laymen. And who took part in the performances? They started writing plays, and this Latin language which was written by the church people was replaced by French and then English. तो याद रखिएगा, लैटिन से शुरुआत हुई ड्रामा की, लैटिन से ये फ्रेंच में आ गई, और ये बाद में लास्ट में इंग्लिश में आ गई. करेक्ट? Latin was replaced by French, and then it was replaced by English. And now what happened? The audience who used to see, जब हम पिक्चर देखने जाते हैं तो हॉल में जाते हैं ना, थिएटर देखने जाते हैं तो हॉल में जाते हैं ना. But now what happened? Because now these plays were controlled by the lay people, layman people, जो कि पढ़े लिखे नहीं थे, उनको बहुत आता जाता नहीं था. उन्होंने क्या किया कि ऑडियंस को एक प्लेटफॉर्म से दूसरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे ले गए. सपोज करिए कि हमें अपने प्ले में दिखाना है कि आज सूरज उग रहा है, सुबह है, तो वो कहेंगे साहब ऐसा करिए कि आप सुबह वहां पे आ जाइए नदी किनारे, वहां पे सूरज उगेगा और यहां पे ड्रामा हम करेंगे. तो पता चला पब्लिक भागी चली जा रही है वहां ड्रामा देखने के लिए जब सूरज उग रहा है. ड्रामा वामा हुआ, उसके बाद खत्म हुआ, फिर कह दिया अच्छा साहब ऐसा करिए शाम को तालाब पे आ जाइएगा, क्योंकि हमको पानी का सीन लेना और तालाब में. अब पब्लिक भागी जा रही है शाम को तालाब में. So this was something which was enacted by these layman people. और कभी कभी तो चलती हुई गाड़ियों पे भी वो प्लेटफॉर्म पे अपना स्टेज करते थे, और कभी तो कई कई दिनों तक करते चले जा रहे हैं. So what happened? This is called lack of professionalism. So उसका ग्रोथ तो हैम्पर होना ही था, and ultimately the growth hampered. Why? Due to the lack of professionalism at playhouses. And now the plays became very crude and very poor in the literary strength, you can say. अब उसके अंदर लिटरेचर जैसा कुछ है ही नहीं. So that was the position of drama. Now next, students got it clearly? I'm sure. I think the concept must be very clear now. Morality plays. What is morality plays? Morality plays were the plays which basically gave the next development of the drama. एक नया stage, एक next growth. And it was moral as well as religious. And the characters were not at all drawn from the Bible or the lives of the saints. But what were the characters? Morality plays की क्या खासियत थी कि ना तो कैरेक्टर्स को बाइबल से लिया गया है, ना तो लाइव्स ऑफ सेंट से लिया गया है, बट these characters are personified abstract qualities. Personified abstract qualities. इसका क्या मतलब होता है कि हम जब किसी को पकड़ ना सकें, हम एब्स्ट्रैक्ट क्वालिटीज को पकड़ सकते हैं. आई कैन नॉट होल्ड. सो दीज, जैसे एक प्ले है एवरी मैन, 1490 का है. इट इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ द मोरालिटी प्लेज. आफ्टर मोरालिटी प्लेज कम्स interludes. इंटरल्यूड्स। इंटरल्यूड्स का एक नाम और हम दे सकते हैं, उसको कह सकते हैं फार्सेस। फार्सेस का एक नाम और दे सकते हैं और कह सकते हैं ह्यूमरस प्लेज, हास्य, जो कि ड्रामा में एक नया स्टेज लेके आया। आप देखते हैं कि हम लोग जब थिएटर्स जाते हैं, ड्रामा में देखते हैं, पिक्चर्स जाते हैं, तो जब कुछ बहुत ट्रैजिक, बहुत पैथेटिक कोई वैसी सीन आ रही होती है या जा रही होती है, तो जो डायरेक्टर होता है कहीं ना कहीं कॉमेडी डालता है, आइटम सॉन्ग डालता है। व्हाई? दैट इज अ रिलीफ to the spectators, to the audience. So that is known as interludes. These are humorous plays, farces, which is considered to be the next stage in the development of English drama. And what are interludes or farces? These are brief comic dialogues, जिसमें कि कोई action नहीं होता, and they also don't have any value with the development of the actual play. And the best of the interludes is still considered to be the 4 Ps. 4 Ps किसका है? जॉन हेवुड का, जिसमें 4 Ps होते हैं, द पामर, द पार्डनर, द पॉथिकैरी एंड द पेडलर। याद रखिएगा, पी 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 पी। द पामर, क्या मैं लिख दूं बोर्ड पे? स्टूडेंट्स, डू यू वांट मी टू राइट दीज 4 और यू नो ऑलरेडी? शुड आई राइट इट ऑन द बोर्ड? The palmer, the pardoner, the apothecary, P-O-T-H-Y, C-A-R-E-Y, and the peddler, P-E-D-L-A-R। और इसमें ये कहा था, स्टोरी में ये है कि कौन सबसे बड़ा झूठ बताएगा, द बिगेस्ट लाई, हु विल टेल द बिगेस्ट लाई। तो ये क्वेश्चन ही अपने आप में बहुत ह्यूमर हो गया कि कोई इतना बताएगा, फिर कोई इतना बताएगा, फिर कोई इतना बताएगा, और ही विल द टेल, तो इट विल जनरेट humor a lot. No plot, and the life characters are lifelike and they are very interesting. Okay, Saman, Shreya, I would write it down for you. You just note it down in your copy also somewhere. The 4 Ps, and these Ps, these 4 Ps जो comic play है, it is written by John Haywood. The peddler, the palmer, the peddler, sorry, peddler, हाँ, the palmer, the peddler, नहीं, the palmer, first is the, you write first the palmer, then you write the pardoner, P-A-R-D, pardoner, P-A-R-D-O-N-E-R, then you write the apothecary, P-O-T-H-Y-C-A-R-E-Y, first, second, then this, and then comes the peddler. Clear? Now, what happened after the death of Chaucer? Chaucer की जब डेथ हो गई 14th century में, so a great poetic voice came to an end. And for the next 150 years, करीब 1.5 century, there was dearth of literary output. And because of this great decline and political confusion has been the main cause. हम बहुत क्रोनोलॉजिकल आपको बता रहे हैं सारी चीजें। अभी आप जब चीजों को रिलेट करेंगे एक के बाद एक, तब आपको समझ में आएगा कि सर जिस स्टाइल से चल रहे हैं कि कहीं पे कोई भी चीज आपको ब्रेक नहीं मिलेगी। जो भी हमारी लाइंस हम बोल रहे हैं वो आपको क्रोनोलॉजिकल डेवलपमेंट दिखेगा। सो व्हेन दिस चौसर डाइड, सो अ ग्रेट पोएटिक आउटपुट केम टू एन एंड, और हमको 150 साल तक कोई भी बेहतरीन आउटपुट नहीं मिला, एक्सेप्ट फॉर फ्यू ऑफ द इंग्लिश चौसेरियंस एंड द स्कॉटिश चौसेरियंस। लेकिन स्कॉटिश चौसेरियंस और इंग्लिश चौसेरियंस जो थे, उनमें से एक दो को छोड़ करके बाकी ऑल वेयर बेसिकली यू कैन से people or poets who only imitated these great literary men of the last age. And for this decline, जो decline हुआ, क्या reason था? Political confusion. जब हमारा राजा ही political chaos मचा के बैठा हुआ है, and he is not giving that energy and output to the literary devices or the literary tendencies. घर के माँ बाप ही अगर अपने बच्चों को पढ़ने ना देना चाहें तो आपको ऐसा लगता है कि बच्चे पढ़ पाएंगे? रेयर ऑफ द रेयर केसेस में। तो ये वैल्यू होती है मोनार्कीज की, टू अंडरस्टैंड देम, दैट व्हाट वाज द रोल ऑफ द 14th century monarchy, 15th century. Why 16th century Elizabethan age is considered to be the golden age of literary output in the entire world? क्योंकि क्वीन एलिजाबेथ में वो पावर था, वो जेस था, वो विगर था, वो पेट्रियोटिज्म था, जिसने उस एज को कहां से कहां पहुंचा दिया। क्वीन विक्टोरिया में वो बात थी कि उन्होंने विक्टोरिया एज को कहां से कहां पहुंचा दिया। So this is the reason that why to understand the monarchies and the literary output is important. So now I will tell you that what was the reason? The political confusion was the reason that why we could not get the literary output. और पूरे 15th century में you will only find the leading poets as the imitators of Chaucer, and therefore they were considered as second grade or third grade writers. Most of the Scotland people were known as the Scottish Chaucerians, जिसमें James I, who is also an author of a poem which I told you just now, The King's Square. He wrote this King's Square as a dream allegory of 1400 lines, and where he describes how the captive author himself, falls in love with a lady. And this poem is considered to be a poetic record of the King James' 18 years of captivity in England and his actual marriage to the noble English wife. Now, one more important thing. Chaucer is known for inventing the rhyme royal, that is AB, AB, BCC, which I told you, the 7 line, जिसको कि किंग जेम्स ने एम्प्लॉय कर दिया अपनी किंग स्क्वायर में, बिकॉज ही वॉज अ किंग. सो दैट राइम रॉयल मीन्स कि ही बिलोंग टू द रॉयल ब्लड. सो द राइमिंग बाय द रॉयल ब्लड इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी राइम रॉयल. अदरवाइज इन ओरिजिनलिटी ये चौसर का होना चाहिए, इसको इसके नाम के आगे होना चाहिए दिस इज बाई चौसर, बट coincidentally and unfortunately it is known as rhyme royal because the royal means the king ने उसका इस्तेमाल किया. The poets of that 15th century had no originality of their own, and their allegory, which was a cup of tea for the 14th century people, that actually lacked fervor and vitality and force and energy and all those things which actually need that allegorical support. तो एलेगरी हमारी क्या बन गई? इट बिकेम मैकेनिकल. ऐसा लग रहा था मशीन में चाबी लगा करके इमिटेट करके हम कुछ बना रहे हैं, मेंडिंग इट, एंड उसमें हार्ट नहीं था. इट वाज सोललेस. मैं आपको बताऊं स्टूडेंट्स कि अगर आप पढ़ रहे हैं और हम आपको पढ़ा रहे हैं, आई कैन गिव यू द एग्जांपल हियर ओनली. यू आर स्टडिंग देयर, you are watching me also, I am not watching you, but my soul is coming out, means ki I am putting my energy to you. That energy is being transferred to you through this system, and if you feel that energy and you accept that energy, my teaching and your acceptance is one. I am teaching with my full energy, you are not accepting it, then it is not 360 degrees, it is your fault. I am not teaching with my energy, you are trying to accept my energy, you will not get it. So it is a game of energy. The entire world is a game of energy. Always remember, without energy, without passion, without force, without commitment, without being honest with yourself, you cannot attain anything in life. जलिए पहले, अपने को जला दीजिए. Means कि you have to become something. और become ऐसे नहीं बनता आदमी. ये हो गया. One should never उसको क्या कहते हैं हिंदी में, किसी को किसी से वो नहीं करना चाहिए, कंपेयर, यस, कंपेयर इज द राइट वर्ड. One should never compare yourself with anybody. You are the best. You can do this. अरे उसने कर लिया, उनके बेटे ने कर लिया, उनकी बेटी ने कर लिया, हम नहीं कर पाए. No, never. You are number one. You should have passion. So I just started giving you this example. Why? To make you understand that this allegory, these poets who lacked originality, their poems became mechanical and soulless. ये word हमारे मन में आया तो मैंने आपको explain किया कि you have also not to become mechanical and soulless. You have to be full of energy and full of soul. Then your energy will come to me and my energy will go to you. And this allegory means the allegories were written by William Dunbar. Now you can write it down. Many a times you will find this name in the net paper. William Dunbar. These are the 15th century poets. इन्होंने लिखा है The Golden Targe. TA. The Thistle and the Rose. The Thistle and the Rose. So this was written by William Dunbar. And Stephen Hawes एक था. Stephen Hawes. STEPHEN HAWES. He wrote The Example of Virtue and Pastime of Pleasure. Example of Virtue and Pastime of Pleasure. Example of Virtue and Pastime of Pleasure. Then we have also John Skelton. Boys and girls, do you know all these names? कभी आपने ये नाम सुना है अपने MA की पढ़ाई में या while preparing for this exam? John Skelton. John Skelton. John Skelton किस लिए जाना जाता है? For his Skeltonic lines. He has been very famous for his Skeltonic lines क्योंकि Skeltonic lines कुछ पोइट्री में कुछ अलग हटके है और इसने एक पोएम लिखा था which is one of the very different elegies till date written in the entire world of literature. और वो नाम है The Elegy of Philip Sparrow. मीन्स कि एक छोटी सी बर्ड थी स्पैरो, वो उसकी डेथ हो गई, जस्ट स्मॉल लाइक दिस. एंड आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ दिस लिटिल बर्ड स्पैरो, he has written a elegy on that. And this is something which is very unusual in English history or the history of English literature, and which was written at the death of a pet little bird. And it has also some comic elements along with grief. Now, the characteristics of the 15th century poetry. As we discussed in the yesterday's lecture, the 14th century characteristics. I'm sure you must have learnt it, must have brushed it up so that for maintaining the continuity कि हम इधर पढ़ाएं और आप पीछे वाला भूल ना जाएं. So the first characteristic of the 15th century poetry is the pastoral poetry. Write it down. First point is eclogue and pastoral poetry. Eclogue and pastoral poetry. ये पोइट्री कब आई है? ये पोइट्री तब आई है जब 15th century आया. This type of poetry came into prominence during the 15th century, and this pastoral poetry was nurtured by, very important name, it also came in the exam, Theocritus and Virgil. This type of pastoral poetry means the pastoral poetry was nurtured by, इसको बढ़ाया किसने, नर्चर किसने किया? Theocritus and Virgil. And in England it was first introduced by A.B. Who will tell me the full name of A.B. who introduced in England for the first time? And he was the English Chaucerian. He was the English Chaucerian A.B. who introduced this poetry, this pastoral poetry. Who will tell me? The English Chaucerian. What is the full name of A.B.? Could anybody write? Yes, Vandana. Alexander Barclay. The full name is Alexander Barclay. And one more, Robert Henryson. Robert Henryson, he was the Scottish Chaucerian. He was the Scottish Chaucerian. So the first characteristic of the 15th century is eclogue and pastoral poetry. And the second point, the second characteristic is that the poetry of the 15th century is satirical. Is satirical. Why? Because it specializes in satire. And who was the English Chaucerian? Who was very brutal, who was very coarse, and who also satirized the voice of the clergy in his book of Calling Cloud. Who has written the book of Calling Cloud, where the poet has satirized on the voice of the clergy? He is no other than but John Skelton. And the satire, the level of satire is actually written in the same vein as Langland has written in the Piers the Plowman. हिंदी में इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि पियर्स द प्लाउमैन में जो लैंगलैंड ने इस्तेमाल किया है सैटारिकल लैंग्वेज विच इज वेरी कोर्स ब्रूटल, तो वही लाइन इन लेंथ आपको इसमें मिलेगा, द बुक ऑफ कॉलिंग क्लाउड, satirizing the voice of the clergy. And there is a poem by Robert Henryson known as Testament of Cressida, जिसमें थर्ड पॉइंट पे आता है आपका moral tone. This is also one of the characteristic of the 15th century. And under this heading, you will read Robert Henryson's Testament of Cressida, which is an important landmark in this moral tone. Why? Because Robert Henryson has considered the miserable end of Cressida as one of the most fitting end for any faithless woman in the world. अगर कोई वुमन फेथलेस है तो उसका वही एंड होना चाहिए जो क्रिसीडा का हुआ है उस पोएम में, बिकॉज ऑफ मोरालिटी. मतलब अगर मोरालिटी आपने छोड़ा तो क्रिसिल्डा वाली ही हालत होनी चाहिए. दिस शोज दैट द एज वॉज फुल ऑफ मॉरल टोन. एंड द लास्ट इज अबाउट that this age was also known for carols and lyric poetry. What are carols? बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, आपको पता होनी चाहिए, या हमने देखा है कि स्टूडेंट्स को पता जनरली नहीं होती या वो भूल जाते हैं, उनको पढ़ाया नहीं जाता. The carol is also a type of a lyric which developed in the 15th century लेकिन ज्यादातर जो कैरल्स इस्तेमाल होते हैं दे आर बेसिकली amorous कैरल्स, सेकुलर कैरल्स एंड इनसे भी ज्यादा रिलीजियस कैरल्स। बहुत सारे कैरल्स का क्लस्टर है जो कि रिलीजियस और आईवी थीम के आसपास होता है। जैसे है एक द कॉवेंट्री कैरल बाय हेल, द कॉवेंट्री कैरल, ऐसे लिख लीजिए, द कॉवेंट्री कैरल बाय HAYLE, by Hale. So this 15th century is actually a period of the end of the Middle Ages. हमने आपको फर्स्ट डे मिडिल एजेस के बारे में बताया था, उसका डेट बताया था। एंड द टू मूवमेंट्स, very important two movements, the Reformation and the Renaissance, had appeared on the horizon, which were going actually to change the English life as well as thought. And the 15th century created a beautiful, a solid middle class, which was desired, which were desiring for a respectable, independent life. And these middle classes were ready to accept the reformed religion, and they were ready to study the classics which the Renaissance had revived. क्योंकि मैंने आपको कैक्सटन के बारे में बताया था, प्रिंटिंग प्रेस के बारे में बताया था, नॉलेज बढ़ गई थी, किताबें आ गई थी मार्केट में, रेनेसां आ गया था। रेनेसां के रिवाइवल से एवरीथिंग वाज चेंजिंग, एंड सो इट इज अ इंपॉर्टेंट प्रिपरेशन और इंपॉर्टेंट पीरियड फॉर प्रिपेयरिंग द नेक्स्ट मूवमेंट और द ग्रेट मूवमेंट ऑफ द नेक्स्ट सेंचुरी. एंड द नेक्स्ट सेंचुरी इज द रिफॉर्मेशन, द रेनेसां, एंड tomorrow's lecture is going to base upon the Tudor royal dynasty. Note it down. One of the most important areas of literature. वैसे तो हर एरिया, हर पेज या हर एज इंपॉर्टेंट है आपके लिए, बट हम यहाँ पे एम्फेसिस इसलिए दे देते हैं कि आप इस पे ध्यान रखिएगा कि ट्यूडर डायनेस्टी के बारे में जब मैंने पूछा है स्टूडेंट से, इवन दे आर brilliant students, even they are gold medalists, they are toppers, still they could not give me two-line answer that what do you understand by the Tudors, who are the Tudors, and what was the reason why these Tudors did something which could not make them successful in the field of literature. So tomorrow we are going to study the Tudor royal dynasty, and we will continue with this complete and see how much I am able to complete. We will enter into the Renaissance and after that the Elizabethan age. So once again students, today I think मैं थक गया हूँ, बहुत ज़्यादा एनर्जी लेवल से पढ़ा दिया. So क्रैश कोर्स वाला पीरियड आज मिस करेंगे हम लोग, कल हम लोग उसको करेंगे. So I'm sure I'm not speeding it up. I'm trying to get pace and energy to make you understand in a beautiful way. Okay, fine, students. So we will meet you tomorrow, and God bless you.